The laughingstock. The crystalline chamber of the United Galactic Council shimmered with an ethereal blue light as representatives from 100 star systems gathered for the quarterly assembly. At the center of the vast amphitheater stood Ambassador Kenji Nakamura, humanity's sole representative, looking remarkably calm despite being surrounded by beings that ranged from the gelatinous Quellians to the crystalline Vorthai. High Counselor Zarthex, a being composed entirely of sentient energy, pulsed with authority as it addressed the assembly. We now consider the petition from the species known as humans, hailing from the Sol system. Ambassador Nakamura, you may present your case for membership in the United Galactic Council. Nakamura bowed respectfully. Honored counselors, Earth comes before you today, not as conquerors or warriors, but as innovators and problem solvers. We seek peaceful cooperation and mutual benefit through membership in your esteemed organization. A harsh, metallic laugh echoed through the chamber. Supreme Commander Vextor of the Zorvath hegemony rose from his seat, his obsidian carapace reflecting the chamber's lights. Standing at nearly 3 meters tall, with 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws, he embodied the military might that had made the Zorvath the Council's de facto enforcers. Peaceful cooperation. Vextor's voice dripped with disdain. The humans dare petition for membership when they can barely manage interstellar travel. Their technology is decades behind even our most primitive members. Nakamura remained composed. With respect, Supreme Commander, humanity offers unique perspectives and innovative solutions. Our approach to technology may differ, but different. Vextor interrupted. Your ships are assembled from salvage and spare parts. The vessel you arrived in looks like it was cobbled together in a scrapyard. The chamber erupted in various forms of laughter, clicks, whistles, and harmonics that all conveyed the same message. Humanity was a joke. High Counselor Zarthex called for order. Ambassador Nakamura, the Council requires proof of technological and military capability for membership. Can humanity provide such evidence? We can, Nakamura replied, producing a holographic display. I present to you the Titanus Prometheus, humanity's prototype defense vessel. The hologram showed a ship that seemed to confirm every criticism. The Prometheus appeared to be exactly what Vextor had described, a patchwork of different technologies and materials. Its hull showed visible welding seams where components from various sources had been joined together. Sensor arrays from at least 3 different alien civilizations protruded at odd angles. The engine configuration made no sense by conventional standards. The laughter in the chamber grew louder. This is what humans consider a warship. Vextor could barely contain his amusement. It looks like someone raided a dozen junkyards and welded the pieces together. Appearances can be deceiving, Nakamura said quietly. I've seen enough, Vextor declared. The Zorvath hegemony formally challenges humanity's petition. By the ancient laws of the Council, we invoke the right of trial. If these humans wish to join our ranks, let them prove their worth in combat against a true military power. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The right of trial hadn't been invoked in centuries, but it was legally binding. A species could be challenged to prove their military capability through combat. High Counselor Zarthex pulsed with concern. Supreme Commander, is this necessary? The humans seek peaceful membership. The Council requires military capability. Vextor insisted. Let them demonstrate it. I propose a simple test. Their prototype vessel against a single squadron of hegemony cruisers. Surely if they belong among us, they can handle 12 of our ships. Nakamura stepped forward. Ambassador, you don't have to. Zarthex began. We accept, Nakamura said firmly. The chamber fell silent. Even Vextor seemed surprised by the quick acceptance. You accept. The Supreme Commander's mandibles clicked with anticipation. Your single patchwork ship against 12 of the finest war cruisers in the galaxy. We accept, Nakamura repeated. When and where? Vextor's 4 eyes gleamed. The neutral zone, Sector 7G3 standard days from now. Non-lethal weapons only, as per Council regulations. The engagement will be broadcast to all member worlds. Agreed. Nakamura bowed again. We look forward to demonstrating humanity's capabilities. As the ambassador left the chamber, various representatives whispered among themselves. The betting had already begun, and the odds were not in humanity's favor. 3 days later, in the vast emptiness of the neutral zone, two forces faced each other across the void. On one side, 12 Zorvath heavy cruisers formed a perfect combat formation. Each ship was a masterpiece of military engineering, sleek, heavily armored, and bristling with weapon arrays. Their hulls gleamed with the distinctive black metal that had made Zorvath ships feared across the galaxy. On the other side, alone in the darkness, floated the TNS Prometheus. Up close, the ship looked even more improvised than the hologram had suggested. The hull was clearly composed of salvaged components from at least a dozen different sources. Tellurian shield generators were mounted next to Quellian sensor pods. What appeared to be a decommissioned fourth and mining laser had been retrofitted as a weapons system. The engine nacelles didn't match. One was clearly Zorvath in origin, the other resembled ancient precursor technology. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Captain Sarah Martinez reviewed her unconventional crew. Her first officer, Commander James "Patch" Patterson, earned his nickname from his ability to make disparate systems work together. The chief engineer, Dr. Maria Santos, was a theoretical physicist who had thrown conventional wisdom out the airlock. The weapons officer, Lieutenant Colonel Chen Wei, had a reputation for creative solutions to impossible problems. All systems green, Captain, Patterson reported. Well, greenish. The Quellian sensors are arguing with the Tellurian navigation system again. Let them bicker, Martinez smiled. As long as they work when we need them. Dr. Santos, how's our special surprise? The engineer's eyes lit up. The quantum field harmonizer is stable. Nobody's ever tried integrating 6 different types of shield technology before, but the resonance patterns are beautiful. They're hailing us, Captain, the communications officer announced. Vexter's image appeared on the main screen. Humans, this is your final opportunity to withdraw. Surrender now, and we'll escort you back to your system with your dignity somewhat intact. Martinez stood, straightening her uniform. Supreme Commander, we appreciate the offer, but we came here to prove ourselves. Prometheus stands ready. So be it. Vexter's mandibles clicked with anticipation. You faced the pride of the Zorvath hegemony. Our ships have never known defeat. Begin the engagement. The 12 cruisers spread out in a perfect encirclement maneuver, surrounding the lone Earth ship. Energy weapons powered up, targeting systems locked on. The Prometheus sat in the center of the formation, seemingly helpless. They're charging weapons, Chen reported. 12 different targeting locks. Steady, Martine said calmly. Wait for it. The first volley came from all directions simultaneously. Brilliant beams of coherent energy designed to overload shields and disable systems. The Prometheus should have been instantly crippled. Instead, something impossible happened. The beams hit the patchwork hull and scattered in all directions like light hitting a prism. The various shield technologies, instead of interfering with each other, created a harmonic resonance that dispersed the energy attacks into harmless light showers. What? Vexter's voice crackled over the comm. Impossible. All ships, concentrate fire on their engine section. The Zorvath cruisers adjusted their aim, pouring devastating firepower into what should have been the Prometheus's weakest point. The ancient precursor engine nacelle glowed under the assault, then suddenly redirected the energy into the ship's power systems. Power levels at 400% and climbing. Santos reported with barely contained excitement. They're feeding our capacitors. Martinez smiled. Mr. Chen, I believe it's our turn. Execute Patchwork Protocol Alpha. The weapons officer's fingers danced over his console. The retrofitted mining laser swiveled to face the nearest Zorvath cruiser. But instead of firing a conventional beam, It projected a resonance frequency that made the enemy ship's own shields vibrate in harmony with the Prometheus's defensive systems. The result was immediate and dramatic. The Zorvath cruiser's shields began to resonate at the same frequency as the Prometheus, effectively making them part of the Earth ship's defensive network. When the other hegemony ships continued their attack, their weapons fire was now absorbed by their own ally shields and redirected back at them. "Cease fire! Cease fire!" Vextor commanded, but it was too late. The chain reaction had begun. One by one, the Zorvath ships found their shields harmonizing with the Prometheus's frequency, creating a feedback loop that turned their own weapons against them. "Dr. Santos," Martins ordered, "initiate Phase 2. The engineer's hands flew over her controls, deploying the quantum entanglement net. From the Prometheus's ungainly hull, dozens of small probes launched, each one cobbled together from spare parts and held together with what looked like ordinary adhesive tape. The probes attached themselves to the Zorvath ships and began broadcasting a simple message in binary, FRIEND or FOE. The advanced hegemony computer systems, designed to process complex tactical data, found themselves confused by the simplicity of the query. While they tried to formulate a response, the probes established quantum entanglement links between all 13 ships in the engagement zone. Suddenly, the Zorvath cruisers found their systems responding to commands from the Prometheus. When Martinez's helmsman adjusted course, all 12 hegemony ships mirrored the movement. When Chen powered down weapons, the entire squadron followed suit. "Supreme Commander," Martinez's voice was calm but firm over the communication channel, "I believe we've demonstrated our point. Humanity's strength isn't in having the biggest guns or the shiniest ships. It's in our ability to improvise, adapt, and turn any situation to our advantage." Vextor's image on the screen showed a being in complete shock. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he tried to process what had happened. This is impossible. Your ship is made of garbage. How did you?" "One person's garbage is another's treasure," Martins replied. "We took discarded technology from a dozen different civilizations and found ways to make them work together. Your weapons, your shields, your tactical systems, they're all designed to fight other conventional forces. But humanity doesn't do conventional." "Release my ships," Vextor demanded, though his voice lacked its earlier confidence. "Of course," Martinez nodded to Santos, who began disconnecting the quantum links. "This was a demonstration, not an attack. We came here to prove that humanity has something unique to offer the Council." As the Zorvath ships regained independent control, they quickly moved into a defensive formation, keeping their weapons powered down. The commanding officers were already analyzing what had happened, trying to understand how their superior technology had been so completely neutralized. The live broadcast of the engagement had continued throughout the battle, transmitting to every member world of the Council. Across the galaxy, beings watched in astonishment as humanity's patchwork ship had turned the might of the Zorvath hegemony into a harmless dance. "Prometheus to all Zorvath vessels," Martins announced. "This engagement is concluded. We'll be heading back to the Council chambers now. Supreme Commander Vextor, will you be escorting us?" There was a long pause before Vextor responded. "High Command is reconsidering our position on humanity's petition." The journey back to the Council chambers was very different from the outbound trip. The Zorvath squadron maintained a respectful distance from the Prometheus, their crews no doubt writing reports that would reshape military doctrine across the hegemony. The ungainly Earth ship, still looking like it might fall apart at any moment, had become something to be respected rather than mocked. Ambassador Nakamura was waiting when they arrived, his expression calm but his eyes twinkling with satisfaction. The Council chamber, which had echoed with laughter just days before, was now silent as members processed what they had witnessed. Captain Martinez, High Counselor Zarthex pulsed with what might have been admiration. "Your demonstration was illuminating. The Council has questions about your methods." Martinez stepped forward. Happy to explain, High Counselor. The Prometheus wasn't built to be the strongest ship or the fastest. It was built to be adaptable. Every system on board came from a different civilization's cast-offs, but we found ways to make them work in harmony. But how? Vector couldn't contain himself. Those technologies are incompatible. The power frequencies alone should have caused catastrophic feedback loops. They would have, Dr. Santos explained, joining her captain, if we tried to force them to work the same way. Instead, we let each system operate according to its own principles and found the harmonic points where they could complement each other. It's like an orchestra, different instruments, different sounds, but when conducted properly, they create something greater than the sum of their parts. And the quantum entanglement? Another counselor asked. Borrowed from the quantum collective's old navigation beacons, Patterson admitted. They threw them out when they upgraded to crystalline matrices. We figured out how to repurpose them for tactical applications. The chamber buzzed with discussion. Species that had contributed unwittingly to the Prometheus's construction were identifying their discarded technologies, now seeing them in an entirely new light. The humans have passed the trial, Zarthex announced, bringing order to the chamber. However, their methods raise questions about our understanding of technological advancement itself. Perhaps we have become too rigid in our thinking. Vector stepped forward, his bearing showing newfound respect. The Zorvath hegemony formally withdraws its challenge. More than that, we request technical exchanges with Earth's engineers. There is much we could learn from this adaptive approach. The motion for humanity's membership will now go to a formal vote, Zarthex declared. All in favor. The response was overwhelming. Even species that had shown skepticism initially were now raising appendages, tentacles, or energy fields in approval. The vote was nearly unanimous. By overwhelming majority, Earth is welcomed into the United Galactic Council, Zarthex announced. Ambassador Nakamura, Captain Martinez, you have shown us that innovation comes not just from advanced technology, but from creative thinking and the ability to see potential where others see only waste. As the formal ceremonies began, Martinez found herself approached by numerous representatives, all eager to learn more about humanity's unconventional methods. Military attaches wanted to understand the tactical applications. Scientists were fascinated by the harmonic principles. Engineers wanted to examine the Prometheus in detail. You realize what you've started? Chen asked his captain quietly. Martinez smiled. The galaxy just learned that humans don't play by the rules. We rewrite them. And this is only the beginning. Outside the council chambers, the Prometheus floated proudly among the sleek warships and diplomatic vessels of 100 civilizations. Its patchwork hull no longer looked like a weakness, but rather like a badge of honor, a symbol of humanity's unique gift. The ability to take the discarded and overlooked and transform it into something extraordinary. The age of human innovation in the galaxy had begun, and it started not with a mighty warship, but with a junkyard special that had turned conventional wisdom on its head. The last laugh. 6 months had passed since the legendary Patchwork Incident, as it came to be known throughout the galaxy. The TNS Prometheus had become the most studied vessel in Council space, with delegations from dozens of worlds requesting permission to examine its unique systems. But humanity hadn't been idle. Earth's shipyards had been working on something new. Admiral Kenji Nakamura, recently promoted from his ambassadorial role, stood before the United Galactic Council's Defense Committee. Beside him, Captain Sarah Martinez wore her new insignia as Commodore of Earth's experimental fleet. Honored members, Nakamura began. In light of recent aggressive movements by the Scourge Collective beyond our borders, humanity offers to demonstrate our latest defensive innovation. Supreme Commander Vector, now serving as committee chair, leaned forward with interest. The Zorvath had become Earth's strongest supporter after the Prometheus demonstration. What does humanity propose? Martinez activated a holographic display. We call it the Adaptive Defense Initiative. Using principles we developed with the Prometheus, We've created a new class of vessel designed specifically for protective operations. The hologram showed a ship even more unusual than the Prometheus. It appeared to be modular, with sections that could separate and recombine in different configurations. Each module was clearly built from different technological bases, yet they fitted together with an organic fluidity that defied conventional engineering. The TNS Phoenix, Martins announced, humanity's first fully adaptive warship. More scrapyard specials, asked Counselor Vitex of the Crystalline Confederacy, though without the derision that such a question would have carried months ago. In a way, Martin had smiled. But this time, we've taken the concept further. The Phoenix doesn't just harmonize different technologies. It learns from them in real time. Before anyone could request clarification, alarms began blaring throughout the Council complex. Emergency channels activated as sensor stations across the border regions reported massive energy signatures. Alert! Alert! The automated systems announced. Scourge collective fleet detected in sectors 12 through 15. Estimated strength, 500 capital ships. Trajectory indicates direct course for Council core worlds. The committee chamber erupted in chaos. The Scourge Collective, a militaristic faction that had refused Council membership and chosen conquest instead, had never launched an attack of this magnitude. 500 ships. Vexter's carapace paled. Our border defenses can't hold against such numbers. It will take hours to mobilize the main fleet. How long until they reach inhabited systems? Nakamura asked calmly. At their current speed, 6 hours, the tactical officer reported. The colony world of New Haven is directly in their path. Population, 40 million. Martinez stepped forward. The Phoenix is in orbit above the Council chambers. We can be at New Haven in 4 hours using our hybrid dry system. 1 ship against 500. Counselor Vitex's crystalline form resonated with skepticism. Even humanity's innovations have limits. With respect, Counselor, Martins replied, you haven't seen what the Phoenix can do. Admiral, I request permission to deploy immediately. Nakamura nodded. Granted. Show them what humanity stands for, Commodore. Within minutes, Martinez and her crew were aboard the Phoenix, preparing for departure. The ship's interior was a testament to human adaptability. Control surfaces that could be reconfigured for any species, power systems that drew from multiple energy sources, and a quantum computer core that processed information in ways that made conventional AI systems seem primitive. All hands, prepare for maximum acceleration, Martins announced. We're going to push the hybrid drive to its limits. The Phoenix's modular sections rearranged themselves for optimal speed configuration. Precursor technology engines merged seamlessly with Zorvith power cores, while Tellurian inertial dampeners kept the crew from being crushed by the acceleration. The ship achieved speeds that should have been impossible for its size and configuration. 4 hours later, they dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the New Haven system. The tactical display immediately lit up with hundreds of hostile contacts. The Scourge fleet was already in system, their weapons charging for orbital bombardment. Broadcast on all frequencies, Martins ordered. Scourge fleet, this is Commodore Martins of the United Earth Forces. You are ordered to halt your advance and withdraw from Council space immediately. The response came from a massive dreadnought at the center of the formation. The Scourge Commander, a being encased in powered armor that obscured its original species, appeared on screen. 1 ship. The commander's synthesized voice dripped with contempt. The Council sends 1 ship to stop the might of the Scourge. Your bravery is noted, human, but also your foolishness. Witness the price of defying the collective. The Scourge fleet opened fire on New Haven's orbital defense platforms. Brilliant beams of destruction lanced out, and within seconds, the colony's defensive satellites were reduced to molten debris. Phoenix to New Haven control. Martins transmitted. Evacuate your population centers immediately. We'll buy you as much time as possible. Commodore, her tactical officer, Lieutenant Chen, reported, Their weapons are charging for planetary bombardment. We have less than 10 minutes. Then we'll have to be creative, Martins replied. Dr. Santos, initialize the adaptive defense matrix. All crew, prepare for multi-vector separation. The Phoenix began to transform, its modular sections detached from the central hull, each one becoming an independent vessel. Where there had been one ship, now 12 smaller craft spread out across the battle space. But these weren't ordinary fighters. Each module retained a portion of the ship's adaptive systems. What trickery is this? The Scourge commander demanded. Humanity's gift to the galaxy, Martins replied from the command module. We don't just use technology. We evolve it. All units, execute Harmony Protocol. The 12 modules began weaving between the Scourge ships, their emissions creating a complex pattern of energy fields. The enemy fleet, designed for overwhelming firepower and straightforward tactics, found their targeting systems confused by the rapidly changing signatures. Then something extraordinary happened. The modules began broadcasting on frequencies that resonated with the Scourge ship's own systems. It wasn't an attack. It was an invitation to communicate on the most basic level. They're trying to establish handshake protocols with our systems, a Scourge technician reported. But the frequencies are strange. They're using harmonics from multiple technological bases simultaneously. Ignore it and destroy them, the commander ordered. But the Phoenix modules were already implementing Phase 2 of their strategy. Each one attached itself to a different Scourge vessel, not with weapons or boarding craft, but with adaptive interface pods, technology inspired by symbiotic organisms humanity had encountered in deep space. The pods didn't try to override the Scourge systems. Instead, they offered to enhance them. Weapons systems suddenly found themselves operating at 125% efficiency. Shield generators discovered new harmonic frequencies that increased their effectiveness. Navigation systems received upgrades that improved their precision. Commander, the Scourge tactical officer reported with confusion. The enemy is helping us? Our systems are actually improving. It's a trap, the commander bellowed. Purge all external connections. But it was too late. The Phoenix's true innovation wasn't in its weapons or defenses. It was in its ability to create technological symbiosis. The adaptive systems had learned the Scourge technology in real time and found ways to improve it, creating dependencies that the Scourge ships now couldn't function without. All modules, initiate synthesis protocol, Martins commanded. The 12 Phoenix components began to pulse in synchronization. The energy fields they generated interacted with the enhanced Scourge systems, creating a network effect that spread throughout the enemy fleet. Ships found themselves linked not just to the Phoenix, but to each other, forming an inadvertent collective intelligence. And in that collective, a simple question propagated. Why are we attacking civilians? The Scourge had built their empire on rigid hierarchy and unquestioning obedience. But now, with their systems interconnected and enhanced, individual ship crews began to access information that had previously been restricted. They saw the intelligence reports about New Haven, a peaceful colony focused on agricultural development. They accessed testimonies from conquered worlds. They experienced, for the first time, the full scope of what their collective had become. Commander, one of the Scourge captains spoke hesitantly. I'm reviewing our mission parameters. These colonists pose no threat to us. Why are we? Silence. The commander roared. You will obey orders. But the questioning had begun. The Phoenix's gift of enhanced systems had come with an unexpected side effect. Enhanced consciousness. Crews throughout the fleet were beginning to think for themselves. Martins saw the opportunity. Attention, soldiers of the Scourge. You now have access to information your leaders have hidden from you. You can see the truth about your missions, about the worlds you've conquered. You have a choice. Continue serving those who have deceived you, or choose a different path. The Command Dreadnought's weapons powered up, targeting the primary Phoenix module. Enough of this corruption. All ships destroy the human vessel immediately. But only a handful of ships responded. The majority remained motionless, their crews struggling with revelations that shattered their worldview. Some began to power down their weapons entirely. "This is Captain Zorak of the battlecruiser Dominator," a voice announced on open channels. "I request asylum in Council space. My crew no longer wishes to participate in the conquest of peaceful worlds." More ships began to signal similar intentions. The mighty Scourge fleet, 500 vessels strong, was dissolving into chaos as individual captains chose conscience over conquest. The Scourge commander's dreadnought fired its main gun at the Phoenix command module, but the beam never reached its target. 3 Scourge cruisers had moved to intercept, their shields absorbing the blast meant for the human ship. "You dare betray the collective." The commander's rage was palpable. "We choose freedom," Captain Zorak replied simply. Realizing the battle was lost, the commander initiated an emergency jump sequence. The dreadnought and a few dozen loyal vessels vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind the majority of the fleet, now seeking a new purpose. Martinez opened a channel to the Council. "This is Phoenix Actual. The Scourge invasion has been neutralized. I have approximately 400 former Scourge vessels requesting asylum and Council membership. Please advise." The response came from High Counselor Zarthex itself. "Commodore Martinez, what you've achieved should be impossible. You've turned an invasion fleet into potential allies without firing a shot." "We gave them what every thinking being deserves," Martinez replied. "The ability to choose their own path." As Council diplomats and peacekeeping forces arrived to process the asylum requests, the Phoenix reassembled itself into its complete configuration. The modular design had proven more versatile than anyone had imagined, not just as a combat system, but as a means of connection and liberation. Dr. Santos studied the data streams from their encounter. "Commodore, the adaptive systems evolved during the engagement. The Phoenix learned not just how to interface with their technology, but how to interface with their consciousness itself." "Dangerous capability," Chen observed. "The power to change minds." "No," Martinez corrected gently. "The power to open minds. We didn't change them. We gave them the tools to change themselves." Back at the Council chambers, the Defense Committee was in emergency session. The implications of what had transpired were staggering. Humanity had not only stopped an invasion, but had transformed a significant portion of an enemy force into potential allies. "The Scourge Collective will view this as an act of war," one counselor worried. "They already declared war by invading," Vextor countered. "The humans simply ended it in a way none of us anticipated." Admiral Nakamura addressed the committee. "Humanity offers this same adaptive technology to all Council members, not as a weapon, but as a tool for connection and understanding. We believe the galaxy's future lies not in bigger weapons, but in better communication." The debate continued for hours, but the outcome was inevitable. The galaxy had witnessed something unprecedented, a military victory achieved through empowerment rather than destruction. The former Scourge crews, now free to speak openly, testified about their experiences. They described the moment when the Phoenix's systems had shown them truths hidden by their own leadership, the moment when choice became possible. Within weeks, the Council voted to adopt humanity's adaptive defense systems as a standard for all member worlds. But they weren't called weapons. They were designated as liberation protocols, tools designed to free minds rather than destroy ships. The Phoenix became the template for a new generation of vessels, ships that could adapt not just their technology, but their very purpose to meet whatever challenges arose. Some served as defenders, others as explorers, and many as bridges between civilizations that had never before found common ground. The Scourge Collective still existed beyond Council space, but their power was broken. Nearly 80% of their fleet had defected, and the stories of their liberation spread throughout the galaxy. Recruitment became impossible when potential soldiers knew that contact with human ships might lead to uncomfortable truths about their leaders. 6 months after the New Haven incident, Commodore Martinez stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, the Council's new adaptive technology research center. Through the viewport, she could see dozens of ships from different species working together, their systems linked by the harmonic principles humanity had introduced. "You started a revolution." Admiral Nakamura joined her at the viewport. "Not with weapons, but with openness." "We didn't start anything," Martins replied thoughtfully. "We just showed the galaxy what it was already capable of. Every species has something unique to contribute. We just found a way to let those contributions work together. And in doing so, you've changed the nature of power itself," Nakamura observed. "Strength no longer comes from having the biggest fleet or the most advanced technology. It comes from the ability to connect, adapt, and evolve." Martinez smiled. "The last laugh isn't about winning. It's about transforming the game entirely." The Scourge thought they were conquering the galaxy. Instead, the galaxy conquered them with something they never understood: the power of choice. As they watched, a former Scourge battlecruiser docked at the station, its crew now wearing Council uniforms and preparing to share their knowledge of unexplored regions beyond the border. The ship's hull still bore battle scars, but it had been refitted with adaptive systems that pulsed with the same harmonious energy as the Phoenix. The age of conquest was ending. The age of connection had begun. And humanity's greatest joke, their patchwork, scrapyard ships held together with hope and ingenuity, had become the galaxy's greatest strength. In the distance, construction lights flickered as new adaptive vessels took shape in the shipyards, each one unique, each one a blend of technologies and ideas from across the galaxy, and each one a testament to humanity's ultimate innovation: the ability to turn enemies into allies, weapons into tools of liberation, and division into unity. The laughter had faded. In its place was something far more powerful: the sound of a galaxy learning to harmonize, with humanity conducting the orchestra of civilizations toward a future none had imagined possible. And somewhere in the void, the TNS Prometheus, the ship that started it all, continued its patrols. Its patchwork hull was now a badge of honor, a reminder that true strength comes not from uniformity or overwhelming force, but from diversity, creativity, and the courage to see potential where others see only scrap. The human approach had won, not through destruction, but through the most powerful force in the universe: the ability to adapt, connect, and inspire change. The last laugh belonged to those who understood that victory meant not defeating your enemies, but transforming them into friends. As the Council's motto now stated, inscribed in languages from across the galaxy: from many technologies, one purpose; from many voices, one song; from many worlds, one future. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not as conquerors, but as catalysts. And the universe would never be the same.